Hello, Powerhouse Smart friends and colleagues. I am so excited here for another episode of our Powerhouse Cool Collabs podcast. As you know, of the three handles under the umbrella of the podcast is that I select people that are in my network, in my world, that I have heartfelt connection with, that are number one, they're cool leaders, they believe in collaboration, and number two, they live with an attitude of gratitude. And number three, they have a really strong place in their heart giving back to others. So today we have an awesome guest. And I always like to give my guests, since this is a 20-minute podcast, it's commutable. I always want to give my guests as much airtime as possible. So we have Katie Johnson from a brand new startup, a nonprofit, Revolved. And I'm going to let Katie share her story. So, welcome, Katie.
Thank you, Wendy. It's an honor to be here on this podcast today and to spend some time with you. Yeah, I will try to keep this as short as possible. I was born and raised here in Minnesota, and I went to college in St. Paul. And my entire career was based on the medical world. I was a gymnast my whole life, so I always wanted to be somewhere in the medical space. After college, the majority of my career was in medical device sales, and that was always a goal of mine. My family had a business growing up, so everyone was very money motivated and success motivated, which is a beautiful thing. But that's just how I grew up. I had all these big goals for myself to make a certain amount of money before I was 30 years old and all these things. And I did it, and I worked really hard and chased my dreams. And I was on that path. And when I was 26, my dad got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And he didn't make a year. He died within the year. And it was during that time where my life kind of started changing. I started changing as that happens when we have big life things go on. But on his deathbed, he said a few things, but one of the things that stuck with me forever is that the money isn't worth it. And what I think he meant by that, not is that he regrets anything in his life, but just to remember to live life because he thought he was going to be able to travel the world and enjoy with his family, but he died at 49 years old, right when he turned 50. So that was a changing point for me, as you can imagine. I went from working in a job that was great, but mostly just for the money and for the prestige to like, oh my goodness, what do I do with my life? So I did something that he told me to never do, which was quit a job before I had another job. So I quit my job in medical sales and was just trying to figure out my next path. To be honest, I really disliked nonprofits. That was like not my thing. I had a lot of bad taste in my mouth when it came to them. But the way life works, the stars aligned and ended up starting at a nonprofit and quickly went from taking on the medical side of things to leading all of our global projects on a very large scale. And went to Africa for my first time. I believe it was in 2022, 2021. And that changed my life again. It's like these things kept happening that I didn't expect to happen, and they changed my life. And yeah, now I'm here.
Wow. Wow. Well, first of all, what a leap of faith. And I like to call it an awakening, that yeah, that something happened in your life that caused you to maybe rethink your values, and you awoke to that there's a lot more than just financial reward, and what you were doing wasn't filling your passion and your heart, and you took a leap of faith. And um, I'm sure your father is so proud of you
You.
down. And I'm sorry that you first had some experience that didn't resonate with you in the nonprofit world. And I'm so So thrilled that you gave it a chance when you went. It was your first nonprofit with Matter? Is that where you
It
went
was.
first?
Yeah. Hmm.
Wow. And of
Yeah.
course, being as talented and skilled as you were in your sales role in big business, I mean, pharmaceuticals is big business, you were probably a breath of fresh air for Matter and were like running through walls, accomplishing things. Wow. How did that feel to take that business side of it and put it into a nonprofit, which most people think are kind of a little bit closed and a little bit backwards and not so advanced?
Yeah, exactly that. It was a leap of faith for sure. I mean, I took over a 50% pay cut to see what this world would be about. And I had a very unique perspective. It's like bringing purpose and passion and helping people together with responsible stewardship
Yes.
and outcomes that actually matter. And that's truly one of the places that Revolved was built out of is how we can change the landscape of nonprofits so that they don't have the stigma that they have now. And we can almost function more of a business in all the right ways and
Yes.
still do the good things that the nonprofits stand for. So it was a super unique perspective that I think I mean, I'm not far out of that corporate world, right? It's only been 4-ish years. So I still have a lot of that in me. And it's been really cool to try to like find a balance between the two.
Absolutely. You could take it to the next level. You can take this nonprofit to the next level. Okay, so just backing up a little bit, that's how I got affiliated with you, Katie, and that was through Vicky Bachman at Matter. And Matter's a wonderful nonprofit, and it was a wonderful testament to them that you got this huge training, and they opened you up by Africa is a huge part of what they do. And so I wanted you to go back now to your first year. So when I say an awakening, we're on this journey. We keep getting awakened more and more and more. More things open up for us. And so the first one was realizing that were meant for something else, and then you went to Africa. And then when did you decide Africa? Let's talk about Africa, and then I want to talk about when did you decide I want to do my own thing. I want to make a bigger impact. And I'm sure Matter's very proud of that. But please tell us about what brought you to Africa with Matter first, and then we'll go to the next.
Yeah, it was we had a partner there and we were doing some groundwork to look at building a hospital there. And as someone that was going to be working on the projects team, it was important that I go. My first country was Senegal, which is in West Africa. I
Yes.
remember the first night on the continent, I cried because I was so uncomfortable. It was like it was not what you like. It was hot, and then the bugs, and I was scared of the malaria. It was out of my comfort zone. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably where everything it's like it represents what I think the world needs more of because I think any growth that we have as humans starts at that level of being uncomfortable, right? Out of our comfort zone. There's no growth that can happen if we stay inside our comfort zone. So that night, well, funny to talk about going back because now I've spent hundreds of nights on the continent of Africa. It represented something really deep and really beautiful that every awakening that I have had in my life has come from challenge and things that have pushed me and stressed me, and I didn't know how I was going to get through it. So, anyways, I think going on my first trip was super eye-opening. It puts things into perspective. I remember the night before I left for Senegal, I had a huge issue with my family, and it was like this blow up fight. And truthfully, I was having a hard time because my mom was moving on to get married again, and I found out the night before I left, and I was just distraught. I was like, too soon. It was all about me. I was very like egocentric, right? And I
Mhm.
go to Africa, and my world just gets blown apart. And I realize everything that I am dealing with is so small and it's so insignificant.
Mm.
And it just connected me to something so much larger than myself that I came home and I was never the same. Like the fight of my mother moving on, I love her husband now. He is beautiful and I'm so glad he's part of the family. And all the little things that I would always worry about and get worked up about, it's not that anymore, you know? I don't know how to better explain it, but my first experience to Africa was a trip.
No, you explained it so beautifully, and we just did our first impact trip in Africa because of you and your group, and that's how I learned more about Revolved and Wild Hope, which I want to get into next, because otherwise we're gonna run out of
I know,
time.
sorry.
But uh, it's life changing. Going to Africa is just an example. I mean, we can do that everywhere. We don't have to fly across the pond, right? Across the world, but if you can, it is just one of those experiences. And that's what we're inviting people to do in Powerhouse Smart and beyond Powerhouse Smart. And that's why I'm doing this podcast with you. I want you to share all this with all of our collaborators. I want other people to get that opportunity. So you said it so beautifully, Katie. You're such a bright light in this world. So share with me. So you went to Africa, you did a bunch of matter work, and then how did Revolved, a brand new startup nonprofit, become born?
Yeah, okay. So I was not there on this first trip to Ukraine. Two of our other founders, Christopher and Michael, were. And they were about to go to the front lines of the Russia-Ukraine war, one of the most dangerous spots in the country. And the night before, they were up writing letters home to their families that were going to send via email the next day if they were not stopped within 24 hours, essentially, if they didn't make it back. They were sitting outside, there were drones flying over their head, and they looked at each other and they said, why don't we do this for the rest of our life? And that question we say is like the birthplace of Revolved because all four of us, Mike, Chris, Savannah, and myself, had this idea of we want to do this for the rest of our life. And it's what is it? It's not sitting in the middle of a war zone. And I mean, it is one of our main projects, but it's the idea of revolving around the forgotten people, the unseen people, and not making it about ourselves, but making it about them and what they already know and staying longer than most people would. So it was really born out of that. It was born out of the want and the need to do things differently.
Oh my God, it's so beautiful. You guys are so thoughtful and so authentic and you've thought and you really just you know what you want and I know you're going to do amazing things. So how can Powerhouse Smart help you? How are we going to work together, share?
Okay, I love this question. Getting the word out. We're brand new. We started in March. So we are meeting the most incredible people through Powerhouse Smart, through Wendy. I have never met such welcoming people. So getting the word out about Revolve, introducing us to people, and we love just to have coffee and jump on Zoom calls. I mean, we're building hopefully one of a state of our building in Victoria Falls, Zimbabwe within the next 2 years. So anyone that's interested in like consulting on any type of that work, we just want to get the mission out.
Okay, so you were so excited, you talked so fast. I heard you, I knew exactly what you were talking about, but just so what for our
Yes.
listeners, yes. So when we went to Africa on our first Africa Impact trip this last August, we met Revolved and we met one of your partners. So it's Katie who you're talking to now, Miss Johnson, and Savannah Wilson and Michael's last name.
Savener,
Sabner, and then Christopher
Newhouse. Yep.
Newhouse. So those are the four partners who started Revolve. And when we went to Africa, we visited several philanthropic locations. One of them was called Wild Hope, and our group of 10 beautiful souls just fell in love with this whole concept. And we immediately said, okay, we're wrapping our arms around Wild Hope, and you're going to be a benefactor of our luxury conference. And then we got more indoctrinated into the big picture, which is Revolve, that has the beautiful Wild Hope and a bunch of other and continuing projects underneath. Wild Hope is in Victoria Falls. They don't have a building. They're sharing an outdoor space and they're serving these beautiful children's souls, and they're doing amazing things. So I'm going to let you tell us a little bit about Wild Hope. So Wild Hope is our first like nitty gritty helping you pull together collaborators, design build industry collaborators who can help you with this first project of building a space for Wild Hope, getting a space in Victoria Falls in Africa, designing and building a space for these beautiful children and children to come for years and years to come. So that's one thing. And then revolved on a bigger picture, just going to Africa, more people going on trips and meeting with you there and seeing other things that you're doing, including Wild Hope, is just going to do what it did for all of us. It just changed our lives. We were like, oh my God, we got to go back and we got to bring more people in and we got to do more things. So that was beautiful. So tell us about Wild Hope specifically, and that's one of your, you can name a few of the other projects you have. I know it's all new, but you guys are like running through walls, right?
Yes, we are. Yes, technically there's three. So Wild Hope is our keystone project, taking up the most of our time right now. You can think of it as like a startup. We have a hospital in rural Zimbabwe for birthing mothers and babies that has been running for 4 years and is just on to the next phase of bringing medication to these people, which is incredible. I'd love to talk to you about it someday too. And then our third is takes up the least amount of our attention, but we are helping raise money to send medical supplies to the front lines of the Ukraine war. So those are the three places that we're working. But Wild Hope, being the one that you saw in Victoria Falls, just a quick background, Victoria Falls, there's more than 1 million visitors a year that come visit because it's one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. But what a lot of the visitors don't see is on the other side of the railroad tracks, where it is some of the most intense poverty that you've ever seen. And right now we have 22 of the most vulnerable kids in Victoria Falls in this program called Wild Hope. Hannah's mission for the program is to get all of the kids off of the street that are begging, getting into trouble with drugs and alcohol and crime, prostitution, getting them off of the street and giving them a safe place to be. We
Yes.
focus on four main pillars: conservation and wildlife, because they are in an unfenced national park and they don't know how to live and co-live with animals like elephants and baboons and buffalo. So that is one pillar. Mental health. We're the only program in all of Zimbabwe that focuses on mental health because it's a very taboo subject for Africans and they don't normally talk about it. English and literacy, because you have to pay to go to school and a lot of our kids can't afford it. So teaching them that will give them a better future. And then our fourth and last pillar is skills. We truly believe that to give these kids the best future, that they need to learn life skills. So we have a plan to become sustainable and teach them through these life skills.
Wow, wow. And so our visit with the Wild Hope facility that you have now, like I said, is a shared back space, a lot with no inside building. And this is where you take these children every single day and you feed them and you teach them. And we sang songs and we had, we read some books to them. We brought books and so that just touched our heart. And we just said, we know there's so much more we can do. So what I'm going to do in the link below is share the Revolved website. Um, I'm going to post a link to the video that we'll put on YouTube. That is the Wild Hope video that we're going to be playing at the luxury conference. So this is 2025. So hopefully this YouTube podcast, and it's an Apple podcast and all the other ones, right, will live on. And you'll all see that Katie started this with her partners of Revolve in March of 2025. Is that correct?
That's right.
And just watch, like in 5 years and in 10 years, we're going to go back to this video together.
Oh my gosh, I hope so. We can do like a round two, a follow-up
Of
podcast.
course, of course. There'll be all kinds of links on how to reach out to Revolved and a little bit about Wild Hope. Everybody who's in my world is going to learn about it at the luxury conference, and those who aren't there are going to learn about it consecutively with follow up. And then we're doing a second Africa Impact trip in November of 2026, all with Revolve, learning more about Revolve. But we're also telling people, if you can't go on our impact trip, you are free to contact Revolved and set up your own impact trip. Maybe you want to just take your own family and maybe do a family reunion there because it ties
Absolutely.
in the philanthropic and the natural safari, and it's life changing.
Yes, it is.
You
It totally is.
You are miraculous, my dear Katie. I can't wait to give you a personal hug when I see you and in November in Chicago. And this was so beautiful. Thank you so much. Everyone, just wait. I mean, if you're coming to the luxury conference, you get to meet Katie in person.
Wendy, I just want to give a huge thank you to you and Powerhouse Smart and your support for not only Wild Hope, but Revolved. We would literally not be here without people like you guys. So you supporting our work directly helps us help all these people. So I'm really grateful.
Oh, well, thank you. And I'm so grateful for our audience because I want all of us to make a bigger impact together, and we are. So you are a bright soul, my dear girl. And I can't wait to see you and give you a kiss. Love you.
Love you.